Close your eyes for a moment. Imagine the biting cold of late January or early February. The wind is freezing, and perhaps there is a thick layer of white snow on the ground. You are shivering. But then, suddenly, a bright burst of color catches your eye. Vivid, glowing red lanterns are strung across the snowy streets, illuminating the dark winter night. Can you hear the sharp, loud crackle of firecrackers echoing in the distance? Can you smell the warm, comforting scent of garlic, soy sauce, and steaming dough escaping from the open windows of nearby kitchens? The world is cold outside, but inside, there is an overwhelming feeling of warmth and joy. This is the atmosphere of Chunjie, the Chinese Spring Festival. It might seem like a beautiful irony to you. Why do we call it the Spring Festival when it happens in the very dead of winter? It is because, for the Chinese people, this festival is not about the weather right now. It is about the promise of what is to come. It celebrates the imminent arrival of spring. It is the moment when the earth begins to wake up from its long frozen sleep. Today, we are going to explore how the world's oldest continuous civilization throws the world's biggest party. Are you ready to journey through time, from ancient myths to modern megacities? Let us begin. Every great festival has a great story, and the story of Chunjie begins with a monster. Let us travel back in time, deep into the world of ancient Chinese mythology. Legend tells of a terrifying mythical beast named Nian. This beast was monstrous. It lived deep under the dark sea or high up in the lonely, rugged mountains. For most of the year, the Nian monster slept. But on the very last night of the lunar year, when the moon was hidden and the night was darkest, the beast would wake up. It would come down from the mountains or rise from the sea to attack the small, peaceful farming villages. It would eat the villagers' crops, destroy their homes, and terrify the people. For many years, the villagers lived in absolute fear. On the last day of the year, they would lock their doors, turn off their lights, and hide in silence, hoping to survive the night. But one year, something incredible happened. The villagers accidentally discovered the monster's secret weaknesses. They realized that the terrifying Nian was actually afraid of three simple things: loud noises, bright lights, and the color red. This discovery changed everything. The next year, the villagers did not hide. Instead, they fought back. They threw stalks of bamboo into the fire. When the bamboo heated up, it exploded with a loud cracking sound. This was the invention of the very first firecrackers. They also painted their wooden doors a brilliant, bright red color. They stayed up all night, lighting bright fires and making as much noise as possible. The monster was terrified. It turned around and ran away, never to bother the village again. This is why, even today, Chinese New Year is filled with exploding firecrackers and red decorations. In fact, the Chinese phrase for celebrating the New Year is Gyo Nian. If we translate this literally, it means to survive or pass the Nian beast. When people celebrate, they are remembering the ancient victory of light over darkness. But the Spring Festival is not just a fairy tale. It has deep, real roots in human history. To understand this, we must travel back over 3,000 years to the time of the Shang dynasty. This was a time of ancient kings and ancient magic. Archaeologists have discovered something fascinating from this time. Oracle bones. These are ancient animal bones and turtle shells that priests used to predict the future. Carved into these old bones are the very earliest written records of people tracking the cycles of the moon and the stars. The ancient Chinese were brilliant astronomers. They created a highly complex calendar called a lunisolar calendar. This means it tracks both the phases of the moon and the position of the sun. But why did they need such a complicated calendar? The answer is simple: farming. In ancient times, China was an agricultural society. The lives of the farmers depended entirely on knowing exactly when to plant their seeds and when to harvest their crops. For these hard-working ancient farmers, the Spring Festival was the most critical dividing line of the year. It marked the end of the long, brutal winter rest and the exciting start of the spring plowing season. It was a time of immense hope. During this time, the farmers would hold solemn rituals. They would offer sacrifices of food and wine to the deities of heaven and to their own ancestors. They were praying for a bountiful harvest, asking the heavens to provide enough rain and sunshine for the coming year. They understood that their survival depended on the harmony between humanity and nature. Now, let us fast forward from the ancient rice fields to the modern bustling cities of the 21st century. Today, China is a land of high-speed internet, towering skyscrapers and bullet trains. But has the spirit of the Spring Festival changed? The answer lies in a modern phenomenon called Chunjie. In English, this translates to the Spring Festival travel rush. Chunjie is completely mind-blowing. It is officially the largest annual human migration on planet Earth. Over a period of about 40 days, there are billions of passenger journeys. Think about that number, billions. Airports, train stations, and bus terminals become oceans of people dragging heavy suitcases and carrying boxes of gifts. Why do so many people travel at exactly the same time? To understand this, you must understand the emotional core of the Chinese people. Imagine a young factory worker living in the southern megacity of Guangzhou. She works incredibly hard all year long, far away from her hometown. When the Spring Festival approaches, she will do whatever it takes to get back to her family. She might endure a 30-hour train ride, standing up the entire time in a crowded carriage, just to reach her rural village in the north. Why? Because sharing a single New Year's meal with her aging parents is the most important thing in the world to her. Chunjie teaches us a beautiful vocabulary of devotion. It shows us the universal human longing for home. No matter how modern the infrastructure becomes, the heart of the festival remains the family reunion. As the travel rush reaches its peak, families finally gather together in their homes. The days leading up to New Year's Eve are filled with intense preparation. The first task is to clean. But this is not just normal housework. This is a ritual called sweeping the dust. Families thoroughly clean every corner of their house to sweep away the huiqi, which means the bad luck or stagnant energy of the past year. By cleaning, they are making physical and spiritual space for the new good luck to enter. Once the house is spotless, it is time to decorate. People paste beautiful red paper poems, called Chunjie, around their doors. These poems are written in elegant calligraphy and contain wishes for peace, health, and prosperity. You will also see a diamond-shaped piece of red paper with the character Fu written on it. Fu means luck or blessing. But here is something fascinating. People often paste this character upside down. Why would they do that? It is a clever wordplay. In the Mandarin language, the word for upside down sounds exactly like the word for to arrive. So, by hanging the luck upside down, they are visually shouting, "Luck has arrived!" As evening falls, the most important event begins, the Nian or the New Year's Eve reunion dinner. The dining table is covered with an astonishing amount of food, and every dish has a symbolic meaning. In the snowy north of China, families gather to make jiaozi or dumplings. They fold the dough carefully, shaping the dumplings to look like ancient silver ingots, which represent wealth. In the warmer south, families eat nian, a sweet, sticky, glutinous rice cake. The name nian sounds like the phrase getting higher or better every year, symbolizing growth and promotion. And no matter where you are in China, there will almost certainly be a whole fish on the table. This is because the word for fish, yu, sounds exactly like the word for surplus or abundance. Eating fish is a prayer that the family will have more than enough wealth and food in the coming year. Today, this traditional meal is paired with a modern hearth. Instead of gathering around a fire, modern families gather around the television to watch the CCTV New Year's Gala. This incredible variety show of singing, dancing, and comedy is watched by over 1 billion people simultaneously, creating a shared cultural heartbeat across the vast nation. The morning of the new year begins with a feeling of absolute freshness. People wake up and immediately put on brand new clothes. This symbolizes a fresh start and stepping into the new year with a renewed identity. As they step outside their doors, the streets are filled with cheerful voices. Neighbors greet each other with bright smiles, saying, "Xin Nian Kuai Lei," which means Happy New Year, or Gong Xi Fa Cai, which is a wonderful phrase wishing you immense wealth and prosperity. This is a day for joy, and for the children, it is the best day of the year. Why? Because of the hongbao, the famous red envelopes. It is a deeply cherished tradition for parents, grandparents, and married adults to give children these bright red packets filled with crisp new banknotes. The red color, as we learned from the Nian monster, provides protection and good luck. But there are strict, fascinating rules about the money inside. The amount of money must be carefully chosen. It should never, ever include the number 4. In Chinese, the number 4 sounds very similar to the word for death, making it extremely unlucky. Instead, the amount often features the number 8, which sounds like the word for wealth or making a fortune. This ancient tradition of the red envelope has recently experienced a massive digital evolution. Today, while physical red envelopes are still given, billions of digital hongbao are sent across the country using smartphone applications like WeChat. Friends, co-workers, and family members tap their screens to send virtual money to each other instantly. It is a perfect example of how an ancient tradition gracefully adapts to the digital age, turning a family custom into a modern nationwide cultural phenomenon. As the new year begins, people also celebrate a change in the Chinese zodiac. The zodiac is a repeating 12-year cycle, and each year is represented by a different animal. But how did these specific 12 animals get chosen? There is a delightful ancient myth that explains this, known as the heavenly competition. The legend says that long ago, the mighty Jade Emperor, the ruler of heaven, decided to create a way to measure time. He called all the animals in the world to participate in a great race across a wide, rapid river. The first 12 animals to cross the finish line would earn a permanent place in the zodiac calendar. The story is a wonderful study of character. The tiny rat, knowing it was not a good swimmer, cleverly asked the strong, diligent ox for a ride across the water. The kind ox agreed, but just as the ox reached the opposite riverbank, the clever rat jumped off the ox's nose and landed on the shore first, winning the race. The ox came in second. Following them came the brave and powerful tiger, the noble and majestic dragon, and many others, until all 12 spots were filled. Every person is born under the sign of one of these animals. You might think that when your animal's year comes around, it would be a year of fantastic luck for you. But interestingly, Chinese culture teaches the exact opposite. Your zodiac year is called your Benming Nian. It is believed that during this year, you are actually vulnerable to bad luck and easily offend the gods of fortune. How do you protect yourself during your Benming Nian? You must use the monster fighting magic we discussed earlier, the color red. People in their zodiac year will wear red underwear, red socks, or a delicate red bracelet woven from silk threads every single day for the entire year, just to keep the bad luck away. Many people outside of China do not realize that the Spring Festival is not just a one-day event. It is a grand marathon of celebration that lasts for 15 entire days. This long festival concludes with a spectacular finale known as Yuangshou-ji, or the Lantern Festival. This event takes place under the light of the very first full moon of the new lunar year. On this night, the streets of towns and cities are utterly transformed. They glow with the light of thousands upon thousands of intricate paper lanterns. Some lanterns are simple, glowing red orbs. Others are massive, complex creations shaped like dragons, lotus flowers, or mythological figures. The air is filled with the rhythmic, thunderous beating of heavy drums as traditional dragon and lion dance troupes perform acrobatic routines through the crowded streets. It is a feast for the eyes and ears. Families wander through the glowing streets, stopping to admire the displays and solve clever riddles that have been written on slips of paper and attached to the lanterns. To complete the celebration, families return home to eat a special dessert called Nian. These are small, sweet, perfectly round glutinous rice balls, often filled with black sesame paste or crushed peanuts, served in a warm, sweet soup. The round shape of the tangyuan and the roundness of the full moon shining above both symbolize family unity, togetherness, and wholeness. It is a perfectly sweet ending to the long, joyful weeks of celebration. As our long journey comes to a close, let us reflect on what we have discovered. The Spring Festival Chunjie is much more than just a holiday. It is a massive living bridge across time. It directly connects the ancient Shang dynasty farmer who stood in his cold field looking up at the stars, to the modern tech worker in Shenzhen who looks down at her smartphone to send a digital red envelope. Despite thousands of years of dramatic historical change, the core of the festival remains untouched. it still carries a deeply universal message that any human being anywhere in the world can understand. It is about the profound, unbreakable human desire for family connection. It is about the psychological need to deeply clean our lives, let go of past hardships, and sweep away our regrets. And most importantly, it is about the eternal, resilient hope that no matter how dark, how cold, or how difficult the winter has been, the warmth and light of spring will always eventually return. When you listen to this story, I hope you have practiced your English, but I also hope you have felt the warmth of the Chinese hearth. Thank you for listening to this narrative journey. May your own year be filled with abundance, joy, and the brave spirit of a fresh start.